What about when you were in like the basic school and you had your knee pad? You're like put those knee pads on, and then you're the senior ranking officer, and the guys were torturing you.
When I was at Cannon, after I left the squadron, I got reassigned up to wing, and I was on the wing staff, and I kind of ran all the ground schools and the going to survival school and the signing you know, all the stuff you got to do. Mm-hmm. But have you ever heard of STED? It was a big Air Force survival school up in, where was it, Utah or Washington State? Anyway, STED was a pretty wild school, and I never really wanted to go, but I was the guy signing everybody, so I made sure I wasn't on the list. Well, anyway, when I went to Vietnam, they said, "Hey, you've never been to survival school. You got to go to survival." Well, by this time they changed it to Washington State. Can't remember the name of it. But anyway, when you first go in, you know, you're just wearing your flight suit. And here I'm a lieutenant colonel, and of course these other people are all, you know, captains and lieutenants and NCOs, you know, enlisted guys and all that. And so I'm really the ranking guy. But anyway, they have one of the first nights, they take everything away from you basically, but you're in your flight suit, and it's like a combat situation. You're on your stomach, and you got to crawl under barbed wire, and they got stuff going off and all kinds of pyrotechnics and gun sounds, and it's pretty scary. But anyway, you get to the end, and then you're automatically captured. And they put you in these damn cells, and they're not very big. They were, maybe yay square, and just you'd probably have to duck your head. And anyway, they stick you in there, and it's totally black, and you're in solitary confinement. And God, you have no idea what time it is, and I don't know how long I was there. Anyway, crawling through that, I heard people had told me how that was, and I was worried about my knees getting all scraped up. So I went out to the BX and bought myself some knee guards that had these grooves, and crawling through there, it just rubbed my knees raw. So when I got captured, I'd reach down there all night. I could just feel it was wet. It was blood. And anyway, I think I'd been in there at least a day or more. And I can't remember. I don't think they even fed us or anything. But anyway, they had sergeants out there. But anyway, one night, the sergeant opened my cell door, and he said, "We have an enlisted guy in your class who became so involved in the thing that he's kind of going crazy. He was shaking. He thought he was really in a concentration camp, and the sergeant didn't know what to do with him, you know." And I said, "I think we better take him to the hospital." So I got to go with him. And when I closed the door, I noticed SRO, Senior Ranking Officer. So that's why I got treated like shit. But anyway, I got to go to the hospital, and while they were tending to him, I had him tend to my knees. In Korea, we went through a survival camp down at I don't know, immaterial, different base. But I remember on the way down, we were on a Goonie bird or something from K2, and we landed at another base, and the Americans were trying to teach the Koreans how to fly a P-51. It was really crazy. And the line chief was on a stool with a whip, and these sergeants, these crew chiefs were all standing there at attention. He'd go over and just whip the hell out of you. You know, the guy'd go to the ground. Just, oh God, they were just mean. That's the way they were, you know. And cruelty. God, we were watching this, we couldn't believe. And then we took off and went down to the survival school. I guess they had to drop some papers or something there, but I couldn't believe it. But you should have seen these guys trying to fly. They'd cut inside our traffic pattern. Oh God, it was really wild. The tower's shooting flares all the time. But anyway, down at the survival school, I remember they put us in this building that was kind of like a Quonset or something, a whole bunch of us. And that night they brought in a regular garbage can full of fish heads. That was what we were going to eat. Well, we were too smart for that. We opened the door, tossed it all out. Lesson number 1, you eat what you can to survive. So we paid for that. I can't remember what they did. And then, I don't know, all kinds of Mickey Mouse color. And then they take you one by one into it's kind of like a cave, or I can't remember what it was, but it was just like being captured. And a Russian guy with his big Russian cap with a Russian accent and everything. And they know more about you. You know, they've gotten your billfold. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they know your wife's name. They know your children's name. They know everything. You know, boy, it's pretty scary when they start, you know, you're trying to say my name, or name, rank, serial number. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, you know. And they start threatening you and, you know, wanting to know how many airplanes you got and what kind is it. But that was pretty damn realistic. And I thought those guys were going to kill me. I really believed it. And the same way at Stead, you know, God, when you left survival school, you hated those NCOs that ran that school. Some people even came back and really wanted to go after them. I guess they meant so much.
That's crazy. Oh yeah. Any questions?
I went through jungle survival school on the way to Vietnam and at Clark Air Base in the Philippines, and that was pretty interesting. They have these indigenous people called Negritos. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they're kind of Indians. They're smaller. They grow up in the jungle and all that, and they're in the survival school, and they tell you to go out and hide. You know, so we go out and hide. God, they found us just like that. And then they go out and hide. We never found a single one. And they were trying to teach us how to use a machete. They could cut down a tree that big around, but whack, 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 and we'd chop and chop and chop. But I'll never forget those guys. They were something else.
Wow.
You probably had a lot of that kind of stuff in the Marine Basic, did you?
Sort of. We didn't do the survival training as much. Once I get my wings and I go to the fleet, I'll go to SEER school.
Yeah.
And do the like 2 week. Yeah, I think if I'm fixed wing, I'll do like the 2 week like full SEER course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got. They were plenty mean to us at officer candidate school and all, yelling at us and getting onto us for any little tiny mistake. So that was funny in hindsight, but not as fun when it was what we were doing.
Yeah. This is kind of all during wartime, so I guess it was kind of upper scale or something.
Mm-hmm.